stuff on YouTube. When does it ever? It's full weight trying. Spa was the last draft track on the schedule, and although as always bring much excitement, the drivers were already craving for the end of the last draft race. Technically, even today's venue features a long backstretch. Its focus is so much more on the ever so tricky first and second sector. From Road Atlanta, it's Big C's MX-5 Challenge Season 2 here on the Global SimRacing channel. And Spa-Francorchamps also brought the first championship decider with it. Xiaomi Mazda's Taurus wrecked out in spectacular fashion and thus has no more chance to reach the top of the standings. And so with that, we're down to a battle of two. Steady Freddy Robert Hadley versus the Ukrainian machine Maxim Bunvich. And with that, we are already getting ready to watch some more simulated MX-5 action, and we welcome you all into the GTR Countdown to Green. Over the next few minutes, we'll bring you all the stats and storylines you'll need to be up to date with Big C's MX-5 Challenge. As the name already suggests, this segment is sponsored by the GTR racing simulators, which are currently used as training aids for professional race car drivers. But you too can learn to ace that braking, sharpen those corners, and shave off those vital seconds. Whether you're a professional driver or gamer looking for a more immersive way to play, GTR has your back. Get started today at www.gtrsimulator.com. The crew today to give you all the stats and storylines will be Taylor Boris, joining myself, Stefan Schlacher, turning the knobs and pushing the buttons. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Doug Beard. And a good day to you, Taylor. What can you tell us about IMSA's love child that is Road Atlanta?
And a good day to you, Stefan, and welcome everyone to Road Atlanta. Located in Brazelton, Georgia, USA, this beautiful 2.5 mile, 4 kilometer, 12 turn circuit is by far one of the most amazing tracks here in the United States. The Mazdas that we see here today are one of the main spectacles that we would see on this track, as it used to be the home to the SCCA runoffs. To give you the chance to see what it is like to drive a Mazda here on the twists and turns of Road Atlanta, let us go on board for a GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Road Atlanta. Coming down to turn 1, this is a very fast uphill right-hander, but it can sometimes be a passing zone if you're brave. Be careful not to wash out wide because it'll be easy to lose it in the grass and slither off into the barrier. Then we have to transition quickly to get ready for turn 3, which is extremely blind. You've got to pick a reference point and turn it in on faith, making sure to take a lot of inside curb. If you hit it right, you should be able to hold left around 4 to give yourself the best entry into the S's. Once again, your line needs to be just right so that you can take it flat out. Hold right at the end to get the car planted so that it's stable through turn 5. The compression and change of direction really catches a lot of drivers out, so expect many to lose it through here. Then you'll swing left to set up for 6. This is another potential spot for an overtake, but it's also deceptively fast. The camber allows you to carry a lot of speed through here, so getting into the groove and trusting the grip will pay dividends by slicing tenths off your time. Finally, slow it up for 7, which is the most important corner of the circuit. That's because it dumps you onto the long backstretch, which makes up a good portion of the lap. The better exit you can give yourself out of 7, the better your lap times will be, and the less vulnerable you'll be to a pass. But honestly, even if you get a fantastic run, the draft is powerful enough that the driver behind could be threatening you by the time you get to the braking for the chicane. Most people will take the inside line to defend, but the switchback nature of these turns means sometimes the outside driver can hold on and get the inside of the second half. Granted, a smart driver knows how to carry their speed around the outside of that second apex and can still outgun you to the line. Whichever you choose, you're now coming across the crest of the final turn. In the MX-5, it's flat out, but no less scary trying to thread that needle. Hopefully you've kept it on the track and have finished a lap around Road Atlanta.
The great Joe Peak doing what nobody can do better, taking you a lap around Road Atlanta. But now, let us take you a guide to a lap around the championship standings that we have going on here. As we look at the point standings right now, Robert Hartley currently sits atop the point standings by only 8 points over Maxime Winovich with an 8-point lead. So this is going to be a tight championship battle with these last 2 rounds. Jaime Dalmes Torres currently sits in the 3rd position after losing those 2 spots later on from the season. Sonny Catchum will be sitting in the 4th position as he has 100 points back, so no way that he will be able to contend for the championship for this season. And then Marcello Pagian sits in the 5th position after gaining 3 spots for the Italian driver. So a great way for him to finish out the season. But Stefan, let's take a look at today's race. Give us the race details.
Yeah, exactly. And the time is clicking. It's clicking by race. Round 9 of 10, the penultimate round of Big C's MX-5 Challenge Season 2. Race length today, as always, 40 minutes, 1 pit stop required because of their 3.3 pre-filled gallons in their tank setups. Completely fixed. You can't change anything apart from your brake bias. No incident cap for this, but they have a little bit of a penalty system. The top 15 do score points, and as always, these drivers get 2 fast repairs, which we really don't expect anyone to be taking here today. And yeah, we already featured them in the intro, but once again, they are your 2 top dogs in the session. Maxime Bunovich right now leading about 3/10 ahead of Robert Hartley, and Marcelo Pagnan sitting just a few hundredth behind Robert Hartley in 3rd place. Kenny Brady and Clifford Edmond right now rounding out your top 5. And one thing we can't stress enough, Maxime Bunovich, really great on draft tracks, Robert Hartley, really great driver overall. And so with those last 2 tracks with, as said, Road Atlanta, long backstretch, but tricky 1st and 2nd sector, and then we go to WeatherTech Race with Laguna Seca, very tricky track, no matter the car. So it really will all come down to that last lap shootout, probably, between Maxime Bunovich and Robert Hartley in the last round of this series. And it's gonna probably be a cracking race here today already.
It certainly is, Stefan. I mean, we're looking at the times right now and watching some of the practices early on today. We saw these 2 just battling it out with the times, trying to see who is the dominant one. But for the most part, it's pretty much evened up right now. Qualifying showing a little bit, Maxime has that advantage, but with that long back straightaway here at Road Atlanta, anything can happen here. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what happens.
Yeah, and Robert Hartley just put in a new personal fastest lap. Not fast enough for Maxime Bunovich, probably because he did get held up a little bit by Peter Fostel out of the last turn. But yeah, 35.87 there for him, so only a 10th now between himself and Bunovich. As we are right now looking at Bunovich, who is just up the road from Robert Hartley.
As we are on board with Bunovich right now as he's coming out of turn 5. Looks like he might not have a good lap right here. This must be an out lap as he is setting up towards turn 6 and 7. So he's going to have a little bit of difficulty right now. Just trying to get the car warmed up as he's trying to at least hold on to that pole position as best he can. Gets a little bit loose right there. So he might not have a best lap time right here. So he'll have to try again. Still has plenty of time though.
Yeah, Maxime Bunovich just came out of pit lane, so he is on an outlap. Ahead of him, though, Simon Erpelding now going into the chicane at his 10A and 10B. He is coming probably on a fast lap. Yes, he is. Right now sitting in 15th with a 138.681. Can he improve, and if by how much? That's not a 39.418, so he is about 8/10 slower than his current fastest lap.
As we look now on the 7th place car right now, Brandon Hawking, he's going to come across the line. He did not get a good time at all with a 154.01, so he must have had it off somewhere on track. So he's going to go again right now as we now have the new fastest lap by Robert Hartley now with a 135.73. So a great effort for him. He is now your new pole sitter for today's race as we're now in car with Angelo Carlos, the Brazilian club driver, currently sitting 13th. He is now going to start his qualifying run.
Yeah, and if you want somebody who is normally good on those half draft tracks or on draft tracks with a tricky section, then Brandon Hawking is your guy to favor here, because remember, he won the race, his home race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, which also has the tricky section with S's switching back and forth, fast turns, medium speed turns, and then obviously into the Moss hairpin. So Brandon Hawking, he might be your guy. He also was third place in Charlotte. So yeah, Brandon Hawking, I have him quite high on the list here today for Road Atlanta, sorry.
Another driver I'm going to be keeping an eye on is the Italian Marcello Paggion. He with an excellent drive during the practice race that was held a little bit earlier today. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on him, seeing how well he is able to manage his car and see if he can stay out of trouble and maybe sneak one under the roof to where he could pick up a win here today.
Well, speaking about keeping the car clean, what are your danger spots here today, Taylor? What have you marked down?
One of the major areas that is a dangerous spot is, of course, turn one. A lot of incidents can happen going into turn one. Fast, high-speed corner if you're not too careful, you can easily wash up. And then, of course, there's turn 5. Turn 5 is an area where you can come up over that curve and down out of the S's. You can easily go over that hump and easily break the car loose if you're not careful and paying attention to that. And then, of course, there's the turn 10 section of the track, turn 10A and turn 10B. We've seen many incidents through many different series that there has been many issues where it could cost championship wins and race wins, of course. So we're going to have to keep an eye on those 3 danger zones, and in fact, to see how well these drivers can manage and get through this section of the track to the best of their ability. And if they are able to, they can maybe bring home a good finish or even take home the win.
You think turn 12 will be any issues with the grass that is ever so close to the racetrack and the race line? Especially in faster cars, we see that they often take to the grass there.
We could see some if we see some cars going side by side into that section of the track, but if they're going single file, as long as they keep their nose straight through that section of turn 12, I don't see any major issues as far as cars going seriously off track.
Well, for sure, a lot of dangerous spots to mark down to have your eyes on, as we are looking at Peter Fostrel there, who is right now sitting in 16th, coming through 10B now. Over the rise he goes under the Suzuki sign. It for sure will be a faster lap. I have marked my words down, and he, yes, does not improve. Great job.
So close, but yet not able to close it out. So he looks like he's in the market right now.
Letting me down there. Not putting in a faster lap by only just so much.
Yeah, Brandon Hawkins we're watching now. He doesn't look like he's coming out on an out lap right now, so he's got about under 2.5 minutes to set a lap. So let's see here.
Yeah, pretty much everyone who is gonna cross the line right now still has about 2 more laps left. First guy to cross the line right now is going to be Andrew Lenning. Puts in a 137.551, puts himself to 12th place, and someone just jumped on top of the leaderboard somewhere. I think that was Clifford Eppen getting himself back into 5th place. Yes, he was.
As we go on board now with Nick Carty, he's coming underneath the Suzuki bridge to complete his lap. He currently sits in the 11th position. He might have a good run here coming out of turn 12. Looking good so far. Let's see if he's able to improve. No, he does not. With a 137.8, he's still going to sit in the 11th position. He's going to try to go around, but it looks like one more time. Maxime Bunovich currently sitting in 2nd position right now. He's going to come around, see if he can improve. I don't think he will improve this time. No, he does not. He does not improve, but loses by almost over a second on that lap. So looks like 2nd place is going to be the best that Maxime is going to do. Not what he needs if he wants to try to close his championship, Stefan.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, everything is still wide open. It's only 8 points between Maxime Bunovich and Robert Hartley. So even if he finishes in 2nd place while Robert Hartley wins his second race here, he would still be very much in the fight because, especially at Laguna Seca, anything is possible. One thing we might see, might not see, is a lap traffic. Right now, the fastest to slowest car is about 4 seconds. 3.5 seconds. So I would say no, we're not gonna see too much of traffic for these guys as Boone, which goes super wide. Actually aborts this lap, so he is now done for the day. As we look at Erik Bolton, who has not set a lap yet, the only one of 3 drivers to not have set a lap so far. Adam Mariak and Jackson Robel are the only 2 other drivers who not have set a lap yet. Erik Bolton goes over the line, did not count for him, so he has no chance anymore in improving, so he is not gonna qualify whatsoever.
As we now see Prem coming across, he's currently sitting 18th. He's coming down the back straightaway, coming towards turn 10. Let's see if he can improve his 1:39 lap time as he comes through turn 10A and 10B, coming up towards the Suzuki Bridge. He's got a good line going right through here. Let's see if he can keep it nice and good tight line through turn 12. Comes down through there, going to cross the finish line here. And looks like he will not improve with a 139.41. That will end the qualifying for him. So 18th is the best Mr. Prem can do.
Brandon Hawking and Robert Harley, the next 2 guys to come over the line. Let's see if they do or if they do not. Brandon Hawking, big slide out of the last turn of the chicane. He goes into pit lane. Let's see about Robert Hartley. Will he be able to do a lap, or does he also board this one? No, he does also. So with that, we are done with qualifying, as also Andrew Lanning goes into pit lane. And we are gonna swing you right over to the SimRacing Studio starting grid. And want to enhance your SimRacing experience but don't feel like spending hours doing it? SimRacing Studio creates plug-and-race SimRacing Access 1 software to enhance your experience without any DIY effort. Go to www.simracingstudio.com for more information. And atop the charts there, pretty much Groundhog Day, Robert Hartley in first place in front of Maxime Boomwich. They're going to line up side by side in the first row. Second row is going to be marked out by Marcelo Pajan and Kenny Brady. League organizer of Clifford Eben in 5th place, alongside him the 85 of Nico Arvilomi. 7th place goes to the number 9 car of Christian Lindron. Juan Manuel Fernandez puts his number 6 car into 8th place. Brandon Hawking and Mark Brightman round out your top 10 drivers.
Starting in the 11th position will be Nick Carty, followed by Andrew Lanning in 12th position. Angelo Carlos will start in the 13th position, followed by Vincent van der Heyden in 14th. Nick Nelson will start in the 15th position with Simon Erpelding in 16th. Peter Vostro will start in 17th. Shashvalak Prem will start in 18th, with Adam Merrick, Erik Bolton, and Jackson Robelin will start and rest of the field in 19th, 20th, and 21st as they did not get into qualifying times.
Yeah, and it is going to be, as always, an interesting race. Yes, we see quite a few people being a little bit slower than your top guys, but I always compare cars like these with your Moto3 or races like these, because you're going to have your draft races, you're going to have your pack racing, and it is just always going to be majorly exciting. And yeah, pretty much expecting a cracker here, not only between the top 2 guys, top 3 guys, probably even Kenny Brady and Clifford Eben will be able to do something here, as Clifford Eben is giving his speech right now to getting everyone hyped up, as he always does. And yeah, it is. We have 21 drivers. It is going to be a good race. We're going to see some packs. We're going to see drivers who are going to fight it out. And as always, big CMX5 challenge, putting on a show, and pretty sure it will here again.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to this race. Looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do here, as we will be seeing some great racing action here at Road Atlanta. Waiting for the final group of cars to grid here so we can get underway at Road Atlanta.
Only a few cars are missing right now, namely a top 3 drivers. Pashan just joined the grid. Boonvish and Hartley still need to get their cars out onto the grid, and I think apart from them, we are good to go. Also, Jackson Robillard not out yet, but he is not even in the session, so he will not drive. Your top two drivers also now lined up as the cars start to harmonize their engines. And green flag is waving. There they go off. Now Kenny Brady with a big 11. Slow start for him. Already under attack from Clifford Eben. Great start by Robert Hadley. Already got 2 car length to Maxime Boonvish. First side by side still for that 4th position between Clifford Eben and Kenny Brady. Kenny Brady not being able to retain his position. So Clifford Eben up to 4th place.
Right behind them, Nico and Christian are having a battle side by side as they go into turn 3 right now. Give the position over to Nico as we have contact with Christian along with Juan Manuel Fernandez. We have a caution, a little bit about the local yellow in that section of the track as we see if Juan Manuel has continued on. I don't know the other drivers.
Christian Lindrod, quick 360 on his way again, but that put him down to 20th place. So he is totally out of that picture again. What also done this is quite a little bit of a gap now between your top 5 drivers and Nico Velomi, which is right now a gap of about 1.5 seconds already.
Yeah, something they do not need to have. So these other drivers in the MX-5s that are from 6 on back need to start trying to work together to get back up to that top 5 group. Otherwise, they will lose that draft. It is important to try to keep up with them so that we might see these drivers try to work together, but knowing how racers can race sometimes, we might see a lot of battling to try to get up towards the front of that pack.
Yeah, with that, the first 3 drivers have already missed the train that is here. And also Mark Brightman had a little bit of a mistake onto a long backstretch, losing himself a bunch of positions. So there's another break from Brendan Hawking down to Andrew Lanning. So right now 5 car back, leading a 3 car back, leading the rest of the field. At this point of time, your top 5 drivers over the finish line for the first time. Robert Hartley ahead of Maxime Boonvish, Marcel Pagnan, Clifford Eben and Kenny Brady.
Battle for P4 is still heating up right now with Clifford Edben trying to hold off Kenny Brady as they come up towards turn 5. Let's see what Kenny can do. They're coming up out of there up to turn 5. Kenny gets a little bit loose. He's trying to hold the car as best he can. Over that curbing they go as they go down the front straightaway down to the run to turn 6. He's going to try to get in the slipstream of Clifford so he can maybe set up a pass coming out of turn 7. Down into turn 6 they go. Up over to the crest now. Hitting the brakes now. Watching the growing of those brake lights coming in. Coming down the back straightaway. Clifford Evans still able to hold off and even pull a little bit of a gap from Kenny Brady.
In behind, you weren't really able to see it, but for Juan Manuel Fernandez, a dive bomb attempt on Nico Velomi onto that turn 8. And he actually is still side by side with Nico Velomi, that a blue car versus the orange car. In behind, Brandon Hawking pushing, bump drafting Juan Manuel Fernandez up ahead, maybe trying also to get ahead of Nico Velomi himself, who now breaks, slots in behind. So Brandon Hawking and Juan Manuel Fernandez go past Nico Velomi into 6th and 7th place.
Yeah, Nico was solely by himself on the inside lane right there. They had 2 cars with Brandon and Juan Manuel. So it was a great effort for those 2, but it looks like Brandon's not done yet. He's going to try to take a peek to the inside maybe of Juan Manuel going into turn 1, but decides to take second of it. He's going to just follow suit.
Clifford Adam just got a big tap by Kenny Brady into turn 1. As we send you on to replay for that, quite an ambitious move by Kenny there, Taylor.
He did. He tried to take it on the inside, and it could not clear him by the looks of it. Contact was made between him and...
Kenny Brady just wrecked his car.
Goodness, that was a hard hit by Kenny Brady right there. So as we see the replay, he just loses control of the car, makes hard contact with the barrier right there as we're on board with him now. I think he might have got a little bit too much of the curbing through the turn 3, turn 4 section of the S's, and then just couldn't hold control of the car. Yep. Into the barrier he goes. Unfortunate for Kenny Brady, the Club Georgia driver.
Well, that was quick with the action there. Clifford Eben now under attack by Juan Manuel Fernandez. Brandon Hawking slotting in behind once again, pushing Juan Manuel there to his luck. And Cliff Evans seems to have retained a little bit of damage there from that contact with Kenny Brady.
Yes, he is, but he's going to try to get braking hard into turn 10 right there. He's got to worry about Nico, who's right behind him, and then Andrew Lanning. So we got about a 5-car group right here for the battle for the top 5 spot right now. So this is going to be looking pretty interesting as they come out of turn 12. Nico all over, pushing Clifford as he looks to the inside, maybe try to set up a pass for turn 1.
And one thing we have to say, Cliff Evans, he would be able to drive into pit lane and be clear for the rest of the race as he drops the tire there onto the grass. Who is that? Andrew Lanning nearly taking 3 wide. That's not a wise decision out of turn 1. He also backs off of that, but now he gets around Nico Velomi, so he's moving up to 7th place. To finish up on a point I wanted to make about Cliff Evans, he would be able to drive into pit lane and take his pit stop already, because yes, they start with 3.3 gallons, but they do not have a restricted fuel source, so they can take to the pit stop already on lap 1. However, it is not very wise to do, Taylor, because of the tires.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to use up all the tires right now, so he might wait a little bit to see if he can come a little bit later on. I mean, the damage doesn't look that significant, maybe a little bit to the undercarriage, and I noticed a little bit to the side. So he's going to try to work on trying to get it maybe a little bit later on. But right now he's in still good position, good opportunity for him to still stay in the top 10 right now at this moment. Still a long race though.
Yes, and Brandon Hawking now taking to the inside, taking that 4th place away from Juan Manuel Fernandez. So Brandon Hawking now leading that 2nd train ahead of Seth Fernandez and Cliff Evans in 6th place.
Andrew Lanning had a great opportunity to brake late into the turn 10, was able to get right to the back bumper of Clifford Edmond, but decided to think a second of it because he knew that he was too close. He could run into the back of Clifford, so he has to back off a little bit, but he's going to go into turn 1 right now, having to worry about Nico, who's going to be on the inside. Up to turn 3 they go. This gives still Andrew the advantage as they go into turn 3. Nico backs off, though, still holds on to the 7th position.
Well, we promised the action, and sure, Big C's MX-5 Challenge once again delivers at a Road America. Just 4 laps in on the 5th lap now, and we've already seen an action-packed first few laps as they all take very hard over that turn 5 outside curb. And let's have a look at what happened there on the start with Christian Lindroth and Juan Manuel Fernandez.
We see right there, Manuel just makes a little, it almost looks like a little bit of netcode between the two as well, but there was a bit of, as we go on board with Christian, as we look from behind, there we see Juan Manuel, as we look on as they come down towards the S's, there was the contact right there, but just a little hard to tell, but from the other angle, it looked like maybe netcode.
And back up on front we go, live back onto the pictures here, where Marcelo Pagnan still in 3rd place, Maxime Boomwish 2nd, and Robert Hartley still your leader of the race. And not any shuffling here at all, just a lot of fuel saving by Boomwish and Pagnan at this point of the race.
Yeah, they are looking though. I mean, we've seen Maxime as well as Marcel look to the inside occasionally, showing their nose, letting Robert know, hey, we're here to race. So we're going to keep an eye to see what happens as they go into turn 3 right now. Marcelo gets a decent run there as he goes up on 2 wheels for a brief moment at going over the curbing. All on board with him right now. It's a great opportunity, great view to see as we see the battle for the lead right in front of him with Maxime and Robert Hartley coming up out of turn 5 over the curbing, down the straightaway to the run to turn 6.
And Pagnan, it looks a little bit as he is not 100% on the pace with these guys through the S's, losing a little bit of time there, and then obviously with the draft is able to come back up to these guys again. So Pagnan, I think he's having to push that a little bit more than he would like to as of this moment, as they all slot in behind, nearly pushing each other there, as I think even Robert Hartley did slow down there off throttle to save some fuel himself. Not saving fuel at all though is that battle for P9 there in behind Nico Velomi.
Yeah, Nicky Carter's currently holding on to that 9th position, but he's got Angelo Carlos and Mark Brightman right behind them as they're making the run downhill towards turn 10. We see Angelo take a look to the inside of Nick Carter, but he cannot make the pass. He has to back off, almost ran over the corner. That gives the chance for Mark Brightman to take a look to the inside and make the pass to get inside the top 10 right now. So move Mark Brightman into 10th as he's now set his sight on Nick Carter.
That is, did spread them out a little bit, but looking at the times, Nick Carter will be the slowest of these guys, so they will most definitely bunch up once again. Up ahead, the next group that is there, that is Juan Manuel Fernandez leading Clifford Eben, Brandon Hawking, and Andrew Lanning. That is all for P4.
Yeah, Clifford Evans all over the back bumper of Juan Manuel Fernandez as they're coming up towards turn 5. Right, hugging that curbing as best they can, then up over that big curbing before they come out of turn 5. Now the run to turn 6. We see Clifford Evans trying to get into the slipstream, see if he can make a pass on the inside or outside before they get to turn 6. He thinks second of it, decides to back off a little bit, try to maybe save a little bit of fuel as best he can, as the headlights ablaze on these Mazda MX-5s right now. Coming out of turn 7 as they come down the long back straightaway, Brandon Hawkins gets a good run out. Andrew Lanning's right on the back bumper of him as well.
Let's see what they can do. Andrew Lanning might go to the inside here of Brandon Hawking, and no, does not. Brandon Hawking, though, goes to the inside of Clifford Eben. Let's see if Lanning decides to. Never mind, Brandon Hawking lifts, and there comes Andrew Lanning now on the inside of Clifford Eben, takes away that 6th place, 5th place, 2 into 1. He and now is your 5th place driver.
Great driving by Andrew Lanning, utilizing the draft to make those passes as best he can, as well as being a little bit braver on the brake pad right there as they come out of the final turn down the front straightaway into turn 1. He's got his eyes set now on Juan Manuel Fernandez.
Andrew Lanning a little bit wide there through turn 1, slowing himself up a little bit. Clifford Eben had a run, but he had to also go off the throttle there to not run into the white car of Lanning ahead of him. So nothing happening there. Also nothing happening still up front. So you're not missing anything with your leaders at this point of time. Oh! Landing super wide there out of turn 5.
Great save, though. He was able to hold on, but this now gives Clifford Eben a shot as well as Brandon Hawkins as they're on board with Clifford Evans coming out of turn 7 and onto the back straightaway. Let's see what he can do as he's trying to find a way to get by Andrew Lanning. This gives Juan Manuel a chance to pull away, still on board with Clifford. As we're going down this back straightaway, he gets closer and closer, utilizing the slipstream. He may take a peek to the inside before we get to turn 10. Let's see what he does. And he's going to just get right on the bumper, start pushing Andrew Lanning.
Yeah, that's safe by Andrew Lanning, though. That was probably a DEFCON 3 moment there for him. But able to get away with it, save that, and look at that beautiful curb cam there through the turn 10 chicane. And into turn 1 they once again go. Nothing happening there. Brandon Hawking was thinking a little bit of taking to the inside of Clifford Eben. Did lift though 2, and once again Andrew Lanning with a slow turn 1. Clifford Eben having to get out of the throttle yet again to not run into the back of the car ahead of him.
And you know what, Stefan? With those 4 cars battling, this is bringing in 3 more cars. This is bringing in Nico along with Nick Carter and Mark Brightman. So we now have about 6 or 7 cars now battling for this 4th position.
Oh, Clifford Eben with a very bad turn 5. Now having Brandon Hawking having to go out of the throttle not to run into him. So yeah, these guys fighting a little bit too hard and pushing themselves into mistakes, into very unforced mistakes.
Yeah, we're not even halfway through the race, and there's already still a lot of mistakes going on with some of these drivers. They need to try to calm down, find that rhythm, and be able to try to do what they can to catch up to the leaders. This battling amongst themselves, that will understandably happen later in the race, but this early on, they need to try to catch up and focus on catching those leaders, which right now it is not happening. They are slowly being pulled away from by the top 3.
About 3/10 between Fernandez and the top guys right now. So Fernandez, though, doing a very good job not to be able to get attacked whatsoever on the long backstretch. So he really has figured out this track for himself.
Yeah, he's doing a great job holding off the rest of this pack of cars as Andrew Lanning looks to the inside going into turn one, but Juan Manuel Fernandez covers him quite well, doing a great job of holding on to that fourth position.
I think that was about the first time Andrew Lanning was able to have a good turn one in about 4 or 5 laps now. So starting to get into some rhythm himself for the turn one. Clifford Evans, though, he was able to close in to Lanning's rear there through turn 3 as Lanning has a little bit of a slide, making me stumble over my own words. But yeah, apart from that, Juan Manuel Fernandez doing his job and the guys behind fighting and getting back up to him because of the draft that has, as already mentioned, led to Mark Brightman, Nick Carty and Nico Velomi catching this 4-car battle, making it a 7-car battle for P4.
Gotta love Mazda racing. This always brings plenty of excitement no matter what track, no matter where you are. Mazda racing has always been a very steady and yet high-paced, fast racing.
Less than 24 minutes to go, and we have to go to the leaders as Robert Hartley and Marcelo take to the pits.
2 out of our top 3 coming down pit road. This is a little bit early. I think we're closing in on about halfway through the race, so this is right around the time we might see some of these drivers making their pit stop as Maxime decides to stay out. He's going to try to at least run 1 or 2 more laps.
Andrew Lanning did join them, so 3 cars in the pit lane right now. Let's see where they actually get out. They are both taking tires, left side tires for both of them. Off Panyan goes, and Robert Hartley slow stop for Hartley, and he actually gets overtaken by Panyan. I think that is down to the fuel saving.
Most likely it is. We saw Panyan as well as Maxime Holt being right behind Robert Hartley for most of that run, so it was probably the smart move where they had to use less fuel.
But what this allows is now Robert Hartley being a little bit on the rear and studying the lines of Marcelo Panyan and getting himself some draft there and seeing where he is stronger than Panyan. Juan Manuel Fernandez now, instead of leading the pack for P4, he's now leading the pack for P2. And I'm having a little bit of an eye also on Boonvish, just in case he decides to cover the other 2 drivers, and he does not, so he stays out, continues on his own race. Let's see how that strategy is going to plan out for him, as Fernandez able to retain his P2 now, ahead of Clifford Evans and Brandon Hawkins.
Watching to see if anyone else decides to duck down into pit road right now. No one else right now is going to duck down pit road, so only 3 cars have made their pit stop for today's race, which is quite an interesting strategy that we saw by those 3 drivers. So we'll have to definitely see what they're able to do before this race is all said and done.
Clifford Evans having a little bit of a look to the right side of Fernandez, sticking only his nose out into the wind, not doing anything with it. So he stays in 3rd place. And yeah, it is, as said, it's gonna be interesting what Maxime Boonvish will do now. Remember, they are fighting, Maxime Boonvish and Robert Hartley are fighting for the championship, 8 points between them, and there is a 7 points gap between 1st and 2nd place. So if he wins and Robert Hartley only gets 2nd place, that gap will shrink down to only a mere 1 point. There we have him on your screens, Maxime Boonvish, and now going into the chicane. That is turn 10, A and B. Let's see, does he duck into pit lane this time? No, he does not. Continues for 1 more lap around Road Atlanta.
So we're watching to see the battle back here for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We see Hawkins, we see Evans, we see Fernandez, we see the rest of the field.
Oh,
Hawkins looks like he's going to duck down into pit road. Give the position over to Nico now, along with Nicky Carter.
Yeah, Nick Carty also goes into pit lane, as does Mark Brightman in his good small racing car. So 3 cars take now also to the pit lane. Obviously, they will be overtaken by Payan and Hartley.
We're on board with Fernandez right now. We see him trying to hold off Clifford Edbin as they're coming up down the S's up to turn 5 right now. They have a little bit of a gap over Nico, so this is going to give them a chance to try to pull away, see what they can do as they come up over the curbing from turn 5 down to run towards turn 6.
As the guys who did pit are rolling out, Nick Carty did lose the position to Mark Brightman in the pit stops. Brent Hawking retaining his 3rd position of the guys that have repitted. Obviously quite far, about 14-15 seconds behind Payan and Robert Hartley.
Still, the battle is on for P2 between Evans and Fernandez as they're going down the back straightaway towards the run towards turn 10. Still a long ways away from Maxime as they're now. We see Evans get right close to the back bumper of Fernandez, hitting the brake zone now into turn 10A. We see Nico getting closer in right now as they're coming up out of turn B under the Suzuki bridge. Let's see if they're going to come down pit road this time by, or we see Fernandez. Evans stays out. Nico stays out. Angelo Carlos coming up underneath the Suzuki bridge. What will he do? He's going to stay out another lap. Nope, coming in as well, along with Vincent van der Hayden.
And van der Hayden very close on the pit exit. They're nearly cutting over the grass, losing his car a little bit with how aggressive he had to turn in to make that pit entrance. Obviously, they're all going to cycle out behind your current leader of the pit cycle. That is Marcelo Payan, who is starting to gap Robert Hartley ever so slightly himself. It's about 8/10 now between them, but not too much of a concern there for your Robert Hartley fans, because he is starting to close in again. As off goes Juan Manuel Fernandez. He might actually get overtaken here by Szabolcs Prem. Let's see. No, Szabolcs Prem breaks for him, slots in behind. So Brent Hawking though right behind Szabolcs Prem. So these 2 drivers will probably be soon back together again, as Erik Bolton, I just saw some skid marks there out of turn 3, probably his race ending skid marks, as he did leave the server.
Maxime Bunwich coming by pit entrance. Let's see if he's going to come down. No, he's going to stay out another lap here. This is going to be the 14th lap completed, starting lap 15. So he is going to be staying out another lap. Let's see about Evans or Nico as they're coming up underneath the Suzuki bridge. If they are going to come down pit road, no, they will also stay out. Simon Elperding will also be coming up next. Is he going to come down pit road? I don't think so either. He's going to stay out another lap as well. So a lot of drivers going to determine. Here comes Peter Vostro. He's going to come down pit road.
Yeah, we are getting to the back end of the fuel stint, so I'm expecting everyone who wasn't able to save fuel to come in this or next lap, and probably like guys like Maxime Bunwich going to be able to go 1 lap further, so they are probably able to do 2 more laps after this one. Clifford Evans, your 2nd place driver at this point of time, obviously still has to pit, as Maxime Bunwich, Nick Carvalhomi behind him, Simon Elperding and Szabolcs Prem, the only 5 cars still to make their pit stop. As I have to correct myself, Szabolcs Prem just went to the pit lane, so only the top 4 drivers still have to pit.
Great effort we see among these drivers, trying to hold on. Maxime doing the best he can, trying to pull that gap even more, so that way he can try to either stay in front of Robert Hartley as well as Marcello. But it looks like we'll have to see if he's going to come down. Nope, stays out.
As we're actually switching now back to Robert Hartley and Marcelo Payan there. As you can see, Robert Hartley, he did close in again, and Payan goes to the left side, says, "You drive again in front of me because I want to save a little bit more fuel. Clifford Eben and Nico Ravalomi both in to their pit stalls now.
Yep, while Simon Epperding will stay out another lap as well. So there's only going to be 2 drivers yet to pit right now, and that is our current top 2.
Maxime Boomwich leading Simon Epperding by about 28 seconds thereabouts. Not 28 laps. That would be impressive with just 16 laps driven. But yeah, Simon Epperding doing a good job because of the pit cycle. He started in 16th, now up to 2nd place. Obviously, that is quite a little bit wrong because of the pit cycle, but there they exit now the pit lane. Clifford Eben slotting in behind Brandon Hawking, so he comes out where he should be in this battle. Nick Carty has to slot in behind Mark Brightman.
Mark Brightman, though, putting a lot of pressure onto Clifford Eben as they come out of turn 5. Mark trying to do the best he can to close that gap with Clifford Eben, but I don't think he's going to be able to make any moves at the moment. But he does got to worry about Nick Carty right behind him as they go down into turn 6. Look at Nick going late into the braking zone to try to close that gap between the two into turn 7. Great run for both these drivers as they're trying to close the gap on Clifford Eben.
Making a move is Maxime Boomwich coming into pit lane now, already driving up to his pit stall, which is the 2nd latest. He slots in perfectly into his pit stall, a little bit to the right, so it's going to be interesting where he comes out compared to Robert Hartley. Robert Hartley now coming through the last turn himself, coming over the start-finish line. Now, where is Maxime Boomwich? He's exiting already out of turn 1, the pit lane. He will have to worry there against Christian Lindroth. Oh, a little bit of a slide there by Boomwich. Is able to save it? Yes, he is. And that's quite a bit of a gap there between Boomwich and Hartley. That is 1.8 seconds.
A little bit of a gap to close with 13 minutes left on the clock. Let's see what Robert Hartley can do as they're coming up out of turn 5. We see Marcello coming out, also following right behind Robert Hartley. Let's see what he's able to do if he's going to try to work with Robert to get back up to Maxime.
Marcelo Pagnan, he is himself looking up in front, pretty much in a no man's land in the standings. He is not going to be able to catch the 3rd place of Jean-Marc Torres in the last 2 rounds, even if he would win both of them. In behind, we look again, that is once again the battle for now again P5. Juan Manuel Fernandez still leading that, but now ahead of Brandon Hawking, Clifford Eben, Mark Brightman, and Nick Carty at the very end of this 5-car train. Let's see Brandon Hawking closing in on Juan Manuel Fernandez for this 5th place. Will he take it to the left side? No, he does not. Takes it to a left in behind. They're closing in again on the back of Brandon Hawking, but also not enough to be able to make a move there.
He's starting to just take it easy right now. We still got close to 10 minutes left on the clock, so he's going to just try to take his time as best he can. Maybe just try to pull that gap away from the rest of the pack that's behind him, such as Clifford Eben and Mark Brightman. But right now we see Clifford closing the gap as they go into turn 1. Mark Brightman as well, hard and late on the brakes into turn 1, was able to hold control of the car as they're closing the gap. Juan Manuel Fernandez holding a great job of Brandon Hawkins. Into turn 3 they go. Comes over the curbing a little bit, might have great car control. Clifford Evans, though, all over the back bumper of Brandon Hawkins. He's going to try to take a look to the inside. Nope, follows suit right now, coming up out of turn 5.
Nico Arvilomi had some problems as we go on to replay. Where is that? That is turn 1 all by himself.
Car just snaps loose by the looks of it when he clips that curbing.
Yeah, that always so hungry turn 1 outside curb. I have lost so many cars over that curb, I can't even count them anymore.
I've lost count myself. for P2 between Robert Hartley along with Marcello Pajon. Are heating up still, but they have a little bit of lap traffic right in front of them with Christian Lindroff as well as they're coming out of turn 12. Christian gives way, lets these two battle it out still. Robert Hartley, though, has about a 2 or 3 car length gap over Marcello as they go down into turn 1.
And the lap car of Christian Lindroff did actually help these guys as they closed in the gap about 4/10 to Maxime Boonvish up ahead. So they are catching, but will it be enough in the last 10 minutes of this race?
It's going to be a hard push. Multiple cars battling out for P4 right now, trying to find a way to get by Juan Manuel Fernandez. It's Brandon Hawkins who's leading the charge with Clifford Evans behind them, along with Mark Brightman doing a great job of holding them as they go down the S's, Stefan. This is going to be something to be definitely keeping an eye on. Not just the battle for the lead, but this battle for fourth.
Yeah, it does seem like that Juan Manuel Fernandez is a little bit the cork in the bottle right now for this group. And now I don't remember if he took any tires or not. I think he took left side tires, so a little bit surprising that he is struggling right now a little bit compared to the guys behind him.
Yeah, it's going to be a wonder what they're able to do as we see Clifford Eben go off course a little bit, gets back on track. But if Brandon Hawkins can get by, I wonder how much of a gap Brandon could probably pull on Juan Manuel as they're going down the back straightaway. Brandon's closing the gap a little bit, utilizing the slipstream. Mark Brightman closing to the back bumper of Clifford Evans. You see 4, 5, 6 cars right here in this train as they make the run down to turn 10.
Clifford Eben not doing anything with the overspeed he has. Slots in behind Brandon Hawking. And up in front, Robert Hartley pretty much has already caught Maxime Boonvish now. Last lap was also the fastest lap of the race with a 35.962 of Robert Hartley. The gap and now 6/10 between them. And the gap right now between Fernandez and Hawking is about a paper's width.
And it only can get closer, otherwise it'd be more interesting to see right now as we go back up to that battle for fourth. Juan Manuel is still trying to hold off Brandon Hawkins. Clifford Evans nearly went off a little bit into turn 3, going over that curbing a little bit too much as they make the run down the S's up to turn 5. Brandon Hawkins take a look to the inside. He gets a great run off. He's going to take a peek now. Decides to slot back into play into Juan Manuel's slipstream as they make the run to turn 6. Let's see what he does now. Nope, decides to back off right through there. Clifford Eben closes the gap along with Nicky Carter and McCarty and Mark Brightman as they come out of turn 7.
Brandon Hawking, it looks a bit weird to me right now. Pretty sure Brandon Hawking could go quite a bit faster than Juan Manuel Fernandez, but just decides to always stay back, slots in. I don't know if that is the right strategy as Clifford Eben gets overtaken by Mark Brightman right now, as Brightman is on the right side and is having a draft of the 2 cars ahead. Clifford Eben slotting in behind, brakes early to be able to make the turn safely. Nick Carty does the same and stays behind Clifford Eben. So Clifford Eben now in 7th place, Mark Brightman 6th, Brandon Hawking still 5th, and leading your train here for P4 is Juan Manuel Fernandez.
Nothing changed in the top 3 right now as Maxime comes out of turn 5, gets a big jump over the curbing right there, goes almost up on 2 wheels, but is able to hold control of the car. This might give the chance for Robert Hartley to close that gap even more as they come into turn 6 right now, out of 6 into 7. We see Hartley braking a little bit later than we see Maxime as they come out of 7. This might give the shot for Robert Hartley to close that gap, utilizing the slipstream and maybe try to make a pass on the outside because Maxime is hugging that inside white line as tight as he can. Comes up now towards the middle of the track.
6 minutes remain in the race, and Christian Lindroth, bad luck continues as he wrecked out of the race behind this group in turn 5, hard on the outside wall as Robert Hartley takes it to the inside of Maxime Boonvish. He says, I want to lead now. You stay behind me, boy. Maxime Boonvish way later on the brakes though. He is now the inside of turn 10B, but Robert Hartley with the better momentum, he retakes the lead of this race, and also Marcelo Pagnano slots by Maxime Boonvish on the outside here of turn 12.
What a momentum run for Marcello as he is able to slot into second place. Now Maxime losing 2 positions in less than a couple of corners, but he is not done yet. He's going to get back to the back bumper of Marcello as they can make the run up to turn 3. Maxime doing the best he can to try to get back to the back bumper of Marcello, coming in at 3. On board with Maxime, we see him looking to the inside, outside, trying to find a way to get by, to get back up to Robert Hartley right now as they climb up the S's back down into turn 5. Nice, better run compared to the rest of these two for Maxime. Let's see what he can do as they run to turn 6.
And it seems like Robert Hartley, why are we making the mistakes of switching up Brandon Hawking with Robert Hartley? We do not know, but Robert Hartley, it seems like he did hold himself a little bit back on that first stint because he's now really putting the hammer down. He's spacing himself a little bit out again on Marcelo Pagnan through the S's. And he really has to work to close that gap once again to Robert Hartley. Probably will be there, but that might be quite a forcefully overtake if he decides to stick his nose in. No, does not, stays in behind. And Maxime Boonvish now still in 3rd place, but they all catch up back with Robert Hartley.
Robert Hartley doing a great job doing what he needs to do to try to secure this championship. It will probably take one more race for this championship to be secured, but he's doing what he needs to do, leading this race and trying to take home the victory as we're under 5 minutes to go left in the race. Maxime tries to stick his nose underneath Marcello into turn 1, but cannot close the deal as Marcello closes the door. Up into turn 3 they go. Great effort for these two battling it out for this 2nd position.
Yeah, 3 more laps to go in this motor race here at beautiful Road Atlanta. Marcelo Pagnan right now 2nd place, Robert Hartley 1st place. And if this stays like this, these guys will be opening up the gap between themselves. That is Maxime Boonvish and Robert Hartley fighting. The only 2 cars still in the fight for the championship. 8 points between the 2. So it will be interesting how this is going to play out because down to 3rd place, that's already a 10-point gap if they finish how they are right now.
A couple of new players that got slotted in.
Oh, Fernandez!
Fernandez goes off. What a save.
What a save.
Let's take a look at that replay because that was a save for that Mazda for Juan Manuel Fernandez. Comes out of turn 5 and just basically loses control.
What a time for us to switch back to that group. Juan Manuel Fernandez, I would say that is the save of the race. Probably full lock right there on that save. Yeah, just makes it even better that on board Juan Manuel Fernandez, instead of going to the wall, he now goes back up to 6th place, maybe?
Well, maybe not. He's going to maybe slot back and get by Clifford Evans right now, so he could maybe get back to where he started. As right now, Brandon Hawkins currently sits in the 5th position with Mark Brightman currently now in the 4th position. So we only got a few minutes left in this race coming across the line to complete lap 23. Juan Manuel Fernandez to get back on the hunt to get back up to Brandon Hawkins, but I think it might be a little bit not enough time right now for him to catch back up.
2 more laps to go in this race. Brandon Hawking 5th place. Juan Manuel Fernandez, instead of being in the wall, he is in 6th place. Started his last lap in 4th place, so he only lost 2 positions instead of maybe 4 wheels on that impact.
Oh, he's got a great run coming out of turn 5 right now. He's going to try to close this gap before they get to turn 6. He takes a look to the inside. We see Brandon Hawkins, though, still going to follow Mark Brightman. Look hard onto the brakes. We see Juan Manuel. He gets right onto the back bumper of Brandon Hawkins as they go into turn 7. This is going to be a great shot if he gets a good run off.
A guy who is also on the back of the bumper of someone is Maxime Boonvish on the bumper of Robert Hartley. He did not decide to take it to the inside of turn 10, as they will now take the white flag as projected. So 1 more lap to go, a few more chances to go for Maxime Boonvish to overtake Robert Hartley and to make this fight go even tighter into the last round once again, unless one of these two wrecks out on this lap, which we do not hope. They are still going to be both very much in contention for the crown going into the WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca.
Maxime doing everything he can to try to find a way to sneak past Robert Hartley as they come up at turn 5. What a great run he's got, but he loses a little bit of control, is able to save it coming up over the curbing down towards the run to turn 6. This gives Marcello a chance maybe to take a peek to the inside.
And a big question mark here is Marcelo Pagnani behind. Will he try to interfere with this championship battle or not? He is pretty much booked for a 4th place in the championship if he also continues to race in the last race. Very bad run for Maxime Boomish out of that turn 7. What does Pagnan do? Takes it to the left side. Side by side they go down the long backstretch. Robert Hartley seeming uncatchable at this point of time. Into the right-hander kink they go flat out, obviously in all cars and classes. Marcelo Pagnan does the break there. Maxime Boomish, contact there.
Is he going to save it? I think he does.
Yes,
he does
he
save it. But I don't think that's what he needed.
Enough time there for him, and Robert Hartley will win today's round here from Road Atlanta. Marks his 2nd win here for Big C's MX-5 Challenge Season 2 ahead of Marcelo Pagnan. Maxime Boomish finishing in 3rd place, and Brendan Hawking and Juan Manuel Fernandez fighting it out for P4.
Yeah, we still have that battle right now for P4. Brandon Hawking is trying his best as they go into turn 10. Juan Manuel Fernandez is on the back bumper as they come up over turn 10. We see Hawkins get over the curbing a little bit too much. Is that going to be enough for him to hold off Juan Manuel as they come towards turn 12 for the final time? Checker flag is out for them. Brandon Hawkins will come home in 4th. Juan Manuel will round out your top 5.
6th place goes to Mark Brightman. 7th place goes to Clifford M. Nick Carty. 8th place, Andrew Lanning. 9th place, Simon Appleton will take home 10th place. P11, we still have a battle for that. Vincent van der Hayden is going to take away 11th place ahead of Angelo Carlos, who lost it in the chicane. P14, a little bit of a battle there. Go ahead.
Yep, we got Peter Fostrol trying to get around Nick Nelson, but it looks like Nelson will able to hold him off right there. Great effort for him.
Shabul Prem in 16th place will be the last car to finish today's race. And with that, we will send you quickly to the break, as the racing might be over here in Brazeltown, but the show is very far from done. We're gonna step aside for just a few moments to take a breather, but we'll be back quickly for the long road racing post-race show, where we will run it down the unofficial finishing order, talk to some of the drivers, and close off an eventful race. So don't step away too far, as GSRC will be back after these messages.
We welcome you all back to the Long Road Racing post-race show, streaming into your homes on the Global SimRacing channel. As Mazda's technical business partner, Long Road Racing is the executive builder of the real-life Global MX-5 Cup car. Whether you race, drive enthusiastically, or just get excited about cars, Long Road Racing offers professionally engineered vehicles and proven performance solutions for you. Find out how they can help you by visiting www.longroadracing.com. What a great race we had here today, Stefan, as we see Robert Hartley take home the win today here at Road Atlanta. And let's go through the rest of the field.
And Marcelo Pagnan taking home that second place. Very valuable for him in that hunt for Shama's Stories. Third place. Maxime Boumvich, very unlucky finish for him. Only in third place, losing a whopping 10 points to Robert Hartley, putting himself now back 18 points in the championship. Brent Hawking, 4th place. Juan Manuel Fernandez, 5th place. Mark Brightman comes from 10th place into 6th. Clifford Eben, 5th to 7th place, so he loses a little bit of positions. Nick Carty goes up 3 spots from 11th into 8th. Andrew Lunning does the same from 12th to 9th, and rounding out your top 10, Samuel Leptin gaining 6 positions from 16th up to 10th.
Coming home in the 11th position will be Vincent van der Hayden, as he will come home in 11th. 12th position goes to Angelo Carlos. 13th goes to Nico Arvalimo, and it will come home in 13th, with Nick Nelson coming home 14th. Peter Vossero will come home in the 15th position, followed by Charles Prem in 16th, with Christian Lindroff in 17th, Erik Bolton 18th, Kenny Brady in 19th, and Adam Merrick will come home in 20th. So great effort for some of these drivers, Kenny Brady, Erik Bolton, as well as Jackson Robillard, and as well as Adam Merrick did not start. Kenny Brady and Erik Bolton had not the best race either, as they did not finish.
Yeah, and these guys probably still so excited after this race that nobody found the time to come to us up here into the booth and talk to us, or probably still extremely speechless after this race. And we have to say, Taylor, it was an incredible race.
It was indeed. I mean, great action for the top 3 battling it out. And of course, that battle for the 4th position, that was the battling area to watch all the action for the most part of the race. We saw great saves. We saw great comebacks. It was just a great way to almost finish out the season with just one race to go.
Yeah, one race to go that will obviously be in 1 week time. Same time as today at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. But with that, we sadly have to close off today's show. And GSRC would like to thank, as always, everyone on the track today for a great show, and especially Cliff Reben for organizing this league and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Right now on your screen you can see all of the companies that provide us with their great hard and software GSRC uses to deliver you the best possible show. Additional thanks goes to Tune Lounge, who provides us with her great masterpieces. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. As mentioned, Big C's MX-5 Challenge will return in 1 week's time for the final round of this season from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. iRacing and GSRC will be there. We hope you'll be too. Next up on GSRC will be the coverage of the Autobahn Sports Car Series. Coverage will air tomorrow at 9:15 p.m. Eastern over at the iRacing Esports Network. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on the social media platforms, Twitter with @GSRChannel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, or Instagram at GSRC_RAM. All of the upcoming races of our other series are right now sliding across your screen, so check them out and mark them down on your calendar to not miss another second of exciting racing action. If you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber hitting that red subscribe button just below this broadcast. Maybe even hit that bell to get notified when we next go live with more exciting racing. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Sean, Taylor, and Dougie, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in as Robert Hartley took away the victory at Road Atlanta. With that said, until next time, sailors, and sayonara. And as always, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.